Transparency, openness, and accountability. I'm curious, have you ever thought about how your life could be dramatically different? And I'm talking about in relationships, financially, your health. I mean, we all could deal with a little less stress and anxiety these days, right? Maybe it's your business that you're thinking about right now. But have you ever thought about how things could be dramatically different? You know, how could your life look right now? How could it look 6 months from now or even a year from now, right? Here's what I want to ask you. If the majority of your conversations you were having on a daily basis were around building a better future for you and your family with people who are in constant pursuit to improve their relationships, right? And their businesses, to improve their financial well-being, right? And improve their health. Well, until you start having these types of conversations, you really can't imagine what's out there, right? I couldn't, at least. I didn't know what I didn't know. Right? Because I was constantly trying to do things on my own. I couldn't dream of the life that we have now and the things that we're being able to do. Imagine if the three people you spent the most time with were always moving in the same direction as you, right? Possibly in some aspects of their life, you're a little bit ahead of them, right? And possibly in your life, in some aspects, they're a little bit ahead of you. And so you guys are bouncing ideas off, leaning on one another's experiences and growing together. For the last 2 years, I've been focusing on this very aspect of squeezing every minute I could out of building these types of relationships and having these types of conversations. And no disrespect to the 4 best days of my life, right? It's when I got married and the birthdays of our 3 kids. But since I've been having these amazing conversations, these very transparent, open conversations where I'm talking about my fears, my doubts, and I'm being held accountable by those right people, it's until then do I really feel as if I really started living, right? Really started living life. What's up, y'all? My name is Jay Helms, and I'm the founder of this movement and podcast called The W2 Capitalist. If this is your first time discovering the W2 Capitalist, we help you, the W2 earner, create multiple streams of income, achieve financial independence, and build legacy wealth through real estate investing. This is the trailer episode for season 4 of the W2 Capitalist podcast, and we're doing things a little different this year. There are no interviews. It is just 4 guys hanging around, talking about life, talking about our wives, parenting, giving each other shit, discussing topics like what it's like to leave the W2 world, right? And of course, real estate investing. I'm going to introduce you to the crew here in just a bit, but I feel like y'all deserve an update on what all has been going on since it's been over a year since the last episode was released. Quite frankly, I didn't think we would be here. I thought the podcast was dead. Personally, I've had a lot going on since episode 163 of season 3 was released. The last episode of season 3 was released. I'm going to give you guys an update on the big stuff here in a minute, but quite transparently, I grew tired of the interview style podcast, right? Thank you again to those who reached out in this last 12, 14 something months and saying, hey man, what's going on? Are you doing the podcast? Again, I really do appreciate you reaching out. It helps kind of justify what we're doing here. But inside the W2 Capitalist community, I had somewhat made an announcement that I think I'm done with the podcast. I don't want to do it anymore, right? I dimmed the on-air sign and unplugged the microphone for good. But here's an example of what it's like to have the right people in your corner, the right people to push you, have open conversations with, and just hold you accountable. Let me introduce you to Brody, Jeff, and Jamie. These guys are all from our Fix, Flipping, and Burr virtual mastermind call. They didn't want me to give up the podcast. They pushed me for a couple months. Hey man, let's record an episode. Quite frankly, when we recorded that episode, I fell in love with the transparency and the openness and the accountability, and they were willing to keep it rolling. So here we are 24 episodes later, and all those episodes are available today, no matter when you're listening to this, for your binge listening pleasure. I'm not going to make you guys wait week by week to consume all this stuff. But Jamie, Jeff, and Brody, let me tell you about these characters. Actually, all 4 of us, right? So we're all married, except for Brody and his wife, Caitlin. And Caitlin actually makes a few cameo appearances here with us in the season, except for Brody and Caitlin. The rest of us, we all have kids, right? We all have at least one Airbnb in our portfolio. Brody is the baby. He's in his mid to late 20s, I think. Jeff and I are the old guys. We're in our early 40s, and Jamie is right down the middle in his 30s. Jeff and Jamie are our flippers. Brody, Jeff, and Jamie are all wholesalers, right? They've all done some sort of wholesaling in the past. I'm the oddball. The only thing I've ever done is buy and hold. And these guys have experienced that as well. And it wasn't actually until one thing I think is very interesting, but I didn't realize this until episode 167. I think it was at 167. I realized that we had all exited our W-2. So none of us have a W-2 job right now. We all spread our wings to fly as entrepreneurs in the last few years as full-time real estate investors. Speaking of, I cannot wait until you hear Jeff's story. Holy shit. I didn't know Jeff and Trina's story. Trina is Jeff's wife. And one night he starts going into what they had to go through and how they made that decision and to go full time and the leap and the risk they took to make it happen. And I'm listening to his story unfold, and it really challenged me to think, if I was pushed in that situation, would I have been able to do the same thing? Would I have been able to do to make the same risk? I don't know. Hopefully we'll never have to find out. But we do talk about our spouses a bit here in the season 4, but because none of us want to enjoy or want to be sleeping in the doghouse, most of that material was cut out. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, most of it's cut out. I mean, we go into some conversations and we forget the microphone is on, right? By far my favorite podcast to record to date, because it's just us guys talking, right? On a personal note, I have had a lot of things happening this year. We've had the most acquisitions ever in a single year of our investing career. Now it's not, don't get too excited, right? It's just 4, but remember, we focus on buy and hold. And at the time of this recording, we have a 5th one under contract. We're going to see what happens with that. Hopefully we can close that by the end of the year. But those 4 already are more acquisitions than we did in the last 5 years combined. We try to stick around to 1 to 2 acquisitions a year. Not really stick to that. It's just kind of how that's worked out since we've started investing. So what else? I've had to hire an attorney on more than one occasion, 4 different occasions, actually. One was to battle a property insurance claim due to some storm damage. One was a negligence claim toward a property manager that we recently fired. That one's still pending. I had a piece of property sold out from underneath me because of some really shitty title work. And then the 4th one was also was an auto insurance claim, and nobody was hurt or anything like that. It just came down to, we bought an RV. There was some information that was not disclosed to us at the time of purchase, and it was not caught during the pre-purchase inspection. So lots of litigation going on. I've never had to hire an attorney before in my life, and here we are going through these 4 things at once, it seems. But anyway, let's see what else. My wife and I achieved Superhost status for the 5th quarter in a row. So all 5 quarters we've been Airbnb host. We've achieved Superhost status. But let's be transparent. Let's be clear here. It's really her. She has handled everything with our Airbnb. I've been here for aerial support. It's all her. Very proud of her for what she's been able to accomplish and do with that. So that is freaking amazing. What else? With some partners, also members of the W2 Capitalist community, we launched W2 Cap Capital, which is a hard money lending arm for the W2 Capitalist members. So I just want to benefit our members, community members receive as access to that capital. What else? I published a bestseller this year. It's available on Amazon and Audible. The title of it is Make an Offer, and shameless plug, I'd love for you to go grab a copy and provide a rating and review on Amazon. I think that's the big stuff. I think that's all the big stuff, as you probably just heard my knuckles crack, except for we did all of this while traveling full time with our family of 5. So over the last 17 months, we visited 18 different states and made some freaking amazing memories as we created our own version of slow traveling or nomadic living, ever how you want to look at that. So I think that's it. I think that's the big stuff. So as I'm wrapping up here in the trailer episode of season 4, I want to talk to Brody, Jeff, and Jamie. You guys are simply amazing. You're responsible for making this season happen. I can't thank you enough for pushing me to do this with you. And although we're never going to know just how many lives we really touched and improved here, I personally learned a ton going through and having these conversations with you. I feel a stronger bond with you, with all of you. And I'm more confident in my life knowing that you guys are in my corner if I ever needed you. Thank you. I learned a lot. I laughed a ton. I can't say thank you enough. To you, the listener, welcome to season 4 of the W2 Capitalist podcast.